My name is Christele Harrouk. I'm an architect and urban designer and the editor-in-chief of ArchDaily, and I'll be moderating this session. Please join me in welcoming Raffaella.
Thank you. Perfect. So thanks a lot, first of all, for having us here as Renzo Piano Building Workshop. I'm very pleased to be here and to talk about the project today because there are several years that I travel in between Italy and Greece, working on one of the 3 big projects of hospital we are developing now. So I'm very happy to share some of the experience of the office today. The starting point, it's a bit an introduction about Renzo Piano Building Workshop. We are an international architectural office. We have 2 offices. One is in Genoa, and the other is in Paris. Talking a little bit about number, even it's not really the point, but we are in the office around 130 people. And for us, it's very important, the number of people and the dimension of the office, because it's not so big and not even so small, but I feel like the good balance and the good dimension to carry on the right number of projects and be able to dedicate to them the right attention and the right time. And another thing is that we are a very international offices in terms of people that work there. We have people from all over the world, around 12, 15 nationalities. And of course, until today, the office has carried on and completed around 140 big projects around the world, so in different countries. So we are very, very proud about that. At the beginning of the presentation, we always show a bit where we work. And that's a choice because it's basically where we work is part of also how we work. Like all the offices represent a bit the values that the office tries to bring inside the projects. So the one that we are seeing here is the office in Genova, in 𝗦𝗲𝗻𝗻. The landscape of Ligurian Sea, it's very steep, as you may see. So the office is the greenhouse in the middle of the trees there. And inside, it's a very open and light and bright space. So the space is very collaborative ambient, and that space it's enhancing somehow the dialogue and the work of the people all together. The office in Paris is a completely different context because it's in the Marais. And what you see here is the model shop, the model we used to make physical maquette, physical model. It's facing the public street. It's like a bit like with this glazed facade that keeps a bit the transparency in between what we are doing inside and what is happening on the public street. But inside, the situation is really similar to the one that is happening in Genova. And this is just a picture, but I love it a lot because it's one of the images of one of the exhibitions that the office is doing. This one specifically is one about that we did in Milano in 2007, so it's a little bit old, but I love it a lot because it kind of makes everything together about what the office is doing. There are pictures, there are people installing stuff, there are models. And the point is that we didn't produce the model for the exhibition. We produced the model for the architecture, for ourselves to study the building and to communicate the building. And sometimes exhibitions are very useful to understand this way of working because you kind of have together all this topic. Another important thing is the office that we work in a very collaborative way. So the teamwork and the meetings that we call workshop are one of the key aspects of this constant dialogue that we have in between clients, also in between colleagues, in between consultants. So these images represent a bit one of the working section, typical working section that we have usually in the project. But again, starting from 2D drawings made with BIM tools, arriving to models, 3D models. Sometimes they're very like quick model, like study model. there are all the tools and the strategy and the process that we take in place almost in all the project. And this drives also to the realization of some mock-ups that are one of the tools that are really useful, really something that we always do in the projects. And we do in-house mock-ups, we do mock-ups when we are on site, a different scale, that's very important, until really the very end of the process, which is the site construction, and that's something that we really follow, really day by day. We can tell that because we are now 3 hospitals under construction here in Greece, and we have a lot of people living there, following the process really in every detail, and that's something we really, really care about, how the process are moving forward. And then, since we are in Greece and we are in Athens, I would like to talk about the office and the philosophy of the office, starting from one of the projects that has been carried out here from a partner in Paris, which is Giorgio Bianchi, in collaboration with a Greek-based studio, which is Betaplan, it's based in Athens, which is the SNF Cultural Center. For sure, you know it, and you probably, I hope, have been there. With a good feedback, I hope. This is one of the buildings that I feel very emotional about this building because it really represents a lot of the values and that the office brings inside the architecture that we are building. One of the first is that this was the site of the SNFCC was originally a leftover space from the 2004 Olympic Games. It was like a car parking. And from this image, which was the original site, we can also understand how the site was really like cutting out the urban fabric and preventing this existing urban landscape to reach the water, to have any visual contact between the water that was right there, and even with the center of the city that was right 4 kilometers inside. So, I will wait a second because I'm confused. Okay. Here, this model represents a bit the idea of the project. The idea was not really to build a building, but to make an action on the floor, on the ground, by kind of rise apart and building like a hill that will host above like a big landscape park and just behind the building itself, the function itself. So this is a model, as the one I was saying, we always use model and things that you can do with your hand. We can understand the action you're doing, the proportion you are dealing of, and this is, I think, very representative of the idea. The result, of course, it's this building that has, the site is 107,000 square meter. So the park, it's the same dimension. And there was a very intensive work on all the landscape and trees that, again, was carried on together with a Greek landscape office, which is Ali Pangalu, Associate Landscape Architect. And we have the opportunity to design really this hill, which is a completely public parking. People can access there, can enjoy the place, can walk in between the green area and reach the top of the hill, which is about 35 meters above the ground. So you can have really enjoy the view of the sea towards you and on the back of the center of the city and the Acropolis. Working with the green and the nature, it's really one of the key points of the office, and we integrate this a lot in all our project, in this one and so the other one. And in the section, you can really see how the function are below this hill, this building, and the function of the Stavros Niarchos Cultural Center, which is basically a building that has been ideated, desired by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, and now it's now a completely public building, and it's hosting the National Library of Greece, and a big opera house. And all these spaces are basically combined in between one only building. But the most important part is that all this area, for example, the National Gallery that hosts more than 2 million of books, it has parts that are completely public. There are areas for students to come and to have the chance to sit there and study, area for consultation, area of research. So it's not really an enclosed building, but it's a building which is open to give opportunity to the people to come and enjoy and stay there and live the space. And that's one of the most important achievements, I think, that we get with the idea of this building. In the plan, we can see how in this organization of spaces, there is a piazza, there is a middle, like a void in the middle, which is the orange one, that kind of makes like the connection space in between all the functions, which is an open space that we see in this picture that is really a public piazza where the people can gather, and you have, through the use of this transparency of the facade, the interaction in between inside and outside, and kind of also what we call the celebration of the movement. So from the piazza, you can see inside the library and the people moving in between levels, and the people inside can really enjoy and understand that that's a point of where things are happening. Again, it's just an example. I can kind of bring more of it today, but I would like just to briefly talk about the canopy, which is the big canopy which stands above the top of the hill, let's say. This is one, but we have a lot usually in our project of the challenges, no? Because this was a 100 by 100 meter flying carpet, flying canopy. And so it's supported by 30 very slim columns. They are just 30 centimeters in diameter. And it was a real big challenge that the office carried on together with the structural engineer, how to resolve and to make this architectural element work, and they kind of represent the fact that you always face a lot of problems to achieve what you want to do. And the way we always face that is that we studied it very deeply, and we have a strong dialogue with all the specialists and consultants. In the end, the structural engineer found a very smart solution, and the image kind of represented the study that we were doing and the fact that we were doing modeling scale to resolve the structural issue of this big structure that in the end has been realized in ferrocemento. And the special solution that has been found is that it's not like laid on the column, but it's hanged. And the hangers are basic spring that works like in a way that they allowed this canopy to move and to face in a correct way the load of the wind and eventually also the earthquake, because of course Greece is a very seismic. And we do all this process with the dialogue, with making models, with studying, and we make a lot of mock-ups. For example, the one you see here, it's a real mock-up that has been done inside, and that's been tested before a lot of times, so it's all a big challenger, but in the end, the solution was achieved. And now from 2016, if I'm not wrong, the SNF Cultural Center is open, and it hosts from there, I think 27 million of people, they go visit and they enjoy the space, so we're really happy about this project. And it was important to me to kind of speak about the values and of a cultural project before the next one, which is instead a work that we did with the Stavros Niarchos Foundation that made a very important donation to the Greek states by building, first of all, making the design and building these 3 hospitals in Greece that will be donated to the Greek states. And this is a project that started in 2018, end of 2018, and it's now under construction. The particular aspect of these hospitals is that they are just one project. They are like 3 applications of the same project. And the idea here was to try to define a concept of a hospital that was taking consideration all the aspects to be ready to face the future time. In these 3 sketches that has been done by Renzo, we see the 3 schemes of the hospital, and they all have common elements. First one is that the building, or what you can perceive as a building, it's flying above something that we call topos, which is actually the real site, the real area, the real ground, what you find in a site. The hospital is surrounded by trees, so nature is also another important element. And finally, the last one is the yellow line, which is the roof. The roof is generating energy that makes the building work. So this concept was then applied to the 3 applications that are one in 𝗦𝗽𝗻𝗁𝗻𝗍. My colleagues will correct me, I'm never able to pronounce this correctly. It's a small village at the north of Greece. And it was a very specific choice of the client to build an hospital there to also bring that important infrastructure in that part of Greece. The second one, it's in Sparti, which is an hospital that will kind of substitute an existing one that will be dismissed while we are constructing the new one. And the third one, it's in Thessaloniki. And this will be the second most dedicated university children hospital in Greece, beside the one that it's already existing in Greece. One of the common aspects of these 3 projects is also the fact that we thought about a little bit Greek culture, and we found in the Greek culture concept that was really advanced, even if it's done even before the medicine was even created, and it's a concept of the 𝗦𝗱𝗿𝗁𝗍. Again, everyone here will pronounce this better than me. I'm very sorry if I pronounce it wrong. But the concept here was that this was a place that people were going to heal. And the element of this place that has for sure some spiritual aspect, but there was also a very important natural aspect. So here the concept was how the place where you go to heal has impact or is important for the process of healing. Sometimes in the current building that we used to use to go to the hospital, we really miss that part of the importance of the context for the process of healing or the well-being. This is really something we miss. And this is a picture of the Thessaloniki site. And I really found a lot of analogies with the one before, that was the 𝗦𝗱𝗿𝗁𝗍𝗁 of Kos. So again, we find ourselves in a very lucky environment because we are outside Thessaloniki, just 6 kilometers away from the center, up on the hill in a very green context. The project itself, it works by being submerged in nature. We will create a park of more than 300 trees that will surround the building. The hospital itself has been designed like a main building, which is the one that has this PV canopy, which is seen from above, that hosts the clinical and the clinical functions and the wards for the inpatient. We have also a second part which it's dedicated to university and research. And then there is another function that it's the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Center, which will be the first one dedicated with this function in Greece. And the client, SNF, has a very strong desire of this to be done. And we work a lot to make it happen in this context. As I was saying, again, here, the elements of the park, the green, the nature, it's really something that is characterizing the building and the context. And the importance of these elements is not just for the patient that will find their healing gardens, place to play, we are thinking about children hospital. So this is very delicate and specific. But there also will be places in the garden for the families, for the relatives, for the staff. Because in the end, it's all like a big group of people that needs to make this experience kind of together. In terms of what it will be in this hospital, in terms of program, this will be a pretty big hospital, 50,000 square meter. The main building, that was the first one that I mentioned, it will be kind of organized in 2 levels. The level below, which is the topos, and it's the one with the, in the first sketch of Renzo was this strong green line, is the thing you find when you go on a site and you decide, okay, that's the site. I mean, it's not flat, it's a hill, this is the difference of level. So the hill will be shaped to host all this technical, clinical function that will be organized as much as possible in one single level. Then we have a level below, which is technical. Above that, 2 building flies above this space, and those will host the wards, inpatient wards. In the middle, there is the place that is more public, which is the entrances, all the outpatient function. And this is an image of the entrance that makes a little bit the idea of these 2 buildings that are where the wards are hosted, and they are connected by a transparent bridge. The clinical level, which is the one that is shaped in the context, it also has this strong relation with the natural aspect. And we are doing it in 2 ways. We are doing it by working with the facade, making it as much as possible transparent, but also, as you may see, this is a very big floor plate. It's about 12,000 square meters, so we're talking about a very huge floor plate. And inside that, we are creating patios, which are like sunken garden, where you can have glazed facade that the natural light come in, and the trees can be there, and people even not able to walk outside can enjoy and have an outside space there. Another thing that we did is that it's always very difficult to organize a space of a hospital full of clinical and technical needs. So we work a lot on the definition of the axis. So as you may see, there are a lot of orthogonal system of corridor that helps, and all the corridor has view out, and that helps the people to orientate themselves. And so does also the patio. This topic of the relation with the outside space, with the nature, is also something that we push really a little bit more on the extreme, having windows in the operating theater. This is not something very common, even if it's more often used in contemporary hospital. And of course, this really gives the possibility to the doctors that work there to have the sensation of the time passing by. And that's something really, really important that relates you to the reality and not like you're alienating inside your... Sometimes there are people working 12 hours in the operating room, so that's very, very important. And the same approach to the connection to the outside, the natural light coming in, is something that we applied in the wards, inpatient wards. So the typical room that we are seeing here, it's a single room, but we have also double bedrooms, depending on the hospital and on the building configuration. It gives you a little bit the sense of the feeling that you would have in the inpatient room. That work that we did in the interior was also very strong, orientated to the creation of not clinical space, both in the children mental health rooms that are really designed as they were like bedrooms, normal bedroom that you can also bit personalize somehow. But that aspect of making a space more familiar, more house feeling, it's also bringing inside a common area like the dining room or the school and the play area. And all the hospital is based on the the fact that we would like to improve the interaction. And that's very important in the children's hospital because after a lot of researches and visit a lot of existing hospitals, we design a lot of play area, a lot of place where family can have their private space, even because sometimes family are like living in the hospital, especially if you have a small baby in the ICU, in the intensive care, in the neonatal intensive care. So the family has the opportunity to have their own private space to cook something, to have a moment with their children. And we also have a space called the family area that is dedicated to the communication in between the patient and the doctors, to have the opportunity to have a dialogue and explain to the children what is going on, what is happening. That's, again, something important. Finally, the technical aspect. We are building this building. The topos is made in concrete, but the level above are made all in timber. And this is one of the first hospital made with structural timber. It's all in wood. And again, we use a lot the technique of drawing and also the model. We study a lot this aspect with physical model, and we do a lot of mock-ups, which are one-to-one scale elements that really allowed us to see and to touch with hands the feasibility and the technology that needs to be placed together piece by piece to really achieve the result that we want. And for terms of consistency, all the building is made in timber, and also the facade is timber. So the one that we are seeing here, it's again a mock-up, and the facade is made with engineered wood. So somehow the logic that it's inside, it's also expressed on this outside skin. And the top of the hospital, as we were saying at the beginning, it's a canopy made with photovoltaic panels. And it's in an element that together with other technology solution like the cycle of the water, the geothermal system, helps to make this hospital as much as possible self-sustainable in terms of energy consuming. This is not maybe the beam solution, because I was talking a lot about models, but in reality we have another layer, which is all the digital that goes together with the handcraft. So we use a lot collaborative beam model, because of course it's teamwork, so you always have to share information, and to carry on this the project we always use beam. And everything goes back to the fact that we are really like to share this information with the exhibition, and that kind of express the way we work. So that's a bit.
Thank you, Raffaella, for the presentation. And maybe this actually could be the starting point of our conversation. We don't have much time. We have 50 minutes. So maybe we can start building on this. So you were talking that anyways, Renzo Piano is a building workshop rather than a traditional architecture office. And you were mentioning a lot of mock-ups, the virtual one and the physical one that we have seen, the prototypes. Can you talk a bit, can you tell us how this collaborative, let's say, hands-on culture shapes your design process and the final outcome?
Yeah, it shaped it for sure. Because the way we are, the method we are using to produce the project, to think about the project, is related to the result we want to achieve. So there is no other way for us somehow to design, because we really use the instrument of creating stuff with hands. We always start by creating a project, by creating a model of the site, by understanding the proportion, by understanding the technical aspect behind the details of every scale. So I think that method of approaching the things also in a very practical way, from some point of view, is the only way to achieve the result that you want. So they're really interconnected. the way you make the project with the result you want to have in the end.
And would the result also might change because of the process itself sometimes?
Yeah, of course, because it depends on the result of a model or a discussion we have together in the office, because the model in the end, we don't do it, a lot of models, we don't do it for clients, we do it for us. And we are used to work hours in the model shop, and then we bring the model on the table, and we said, okay, let's discuss it with the team, and everyone can share their idea and go, okay, this is maybe not working, questioning the project, and make the process moving forward through that tool. So yeah.
You mentioned that you guys worked also very closely with engineers, with landscape architects. I want to understand how these multidisciplinary conversations also influence the evolution of a project. So is it only Renzo Piano's building workshop that is, putting, let's say, the main titles of how this should evolve, or do others get to contribute in the final result?
Absolutely, absolutely. As one of the first images that we're showing this workshop full of people, half of those people were not part of the office, they're part of the team of the project. This is really something that we feel is essential, the dialogue. The dialogue with first the client, and then all the consultants, the engineers, all the other important people that are contributing. So we're really questioning ourselves every day, and we do it also through the question that the other of the team are bringing on the table. And this, we really think that it's essential for the project to evolve in the right way. It doesn't really have any other way to evolve. Yeah. And yes, and you have to listen. You really have to listen. Then sometimes things are not useful, or you can re-elaborate that. But as architect, we always feel like you are try to keep together like a big orchestra, and we really have to listen to them.
That's a great point. Yes, there are also several architects who are talking about this, the importance of listening to other team members, other profession also, to see how they can contribute.
Yeah.
So the office has worked across different scales. You didn't present much of it today, but everyone knows the extent of your work, from dense urban centers to obviously also rural landscape.
Yeah.
How do you begin understanding a new place for every new project?
Yeah, the first thing that we do is we go there. We go on on the site. That's always happening. You need to know, to understand the site, to study it. And the second thing that we do, we measure it. That's something that everyone in the office always is on the metro to measure stuff. Everyone. And of course, you cannot use that to measure a site. But the concept is that
putting it in perspective, proportion, scale.
Yeah. Because after the site visit and after we get to understand the place, we always do a model of it. Always. I mean, sometimes the model comes even early that any idea. We don't maybe have any idea, but we build a model of the site to really make our hands-on understanding what we are doing. So that's the beginning of everything.
It's the context.
Yeah.
In that sense. So, and how does local climate, craft, or culture, where does it fit, and when does it start shaping the overall design decisions?
Yeah, for sure, it does.
After the model?
Yeah, between, somehow, together. Because, it's not just a model, it's also studying what is the context in a very extensive way of thinking. So not just the context in terms of landscape context, but also in terms of cultural, economical, social. We did a lot of different projects with the same program somehow, like university. We did a lot of we did Columbia University in New York, and then we are doing now a university in Bangladesh, which is dedicated just to women, to young girls. This is the Asian Women University. It's in Chittagong. And of course, the Columbia University in Manhattan, it's built. The one in Chittagong in Bangladesh is still under design. But then you can see how same program, it really brings you to completely different. Okay, these are really extreme difference because in one case we are in the middle of Manhattan, and in the other case we are in the middle of the jungle. But so the result is completely different because one building is in a context that is already defined. You have to insert yourself in something that is sculptured in stone, and in the other case there's no other driven themes beside the nature. And anyway, you have to deal with the fact that those are places for people, and the project it goes to a completely different path, even if the program in the end is the same.
So do you adjust the process depending on the country or depending on the context, or is it more like this is the same approach, same process, but because you have different kind of information that you are processing and listening to, the final outcome becomes different?
I would say that the process is different because this process is made also by people. So depending on the time that you have to dedicate to a project, depending on the budget, depending on the aspiration, the process, but the method, the way we approach the design, that's something that is the same. So this aspect of really getting to know a place, speak with the people, build a team, makes this ping pong, as we call it, in the people. Like you give an information that you're waiting the information to come, and this is the same. But sometimes the process is different because.
I'm actually asking these to get to the main the center. I don't want to say piece, but the center of your presentation, which is Greece as a case study. And it has been an important chapter in Renzo Piano's Building Workshop's work. How do these Greek projects sit within the larger narrative of your civic and public architecture engagement?
Yeah. For sure, these are really...
It's public, I call them public architecture, though. That's hospitals, it's universities, it's cultural centers, but they are used by the public.
Yeah, yeah. They are for sure very, very important project in our experience. The SNF cultural centers, it kind of makes together a lot of experience that we had before, because we did a lot of museum and we did a lot of opera and auditorium. We kind of bring together this type of building. And also the fact that then we also have the very great opportunity to build these 3 hospitals. They all bring something together. I mean, doing cultural architecture means that you're also learning or experimenting something that you can apply also in hospital, even if this sounds a little bit out of the... But in reality, what we are trying to do is to bring quality to enhance the experience of the people that will go there. And that's something you do in both the situations. So yeah, to respond to your question, the Greek experience were very important and very meaningful for the office. And it was very meaningful, so the fact that we built 2 different kind of function building, but in the end they really have something to share.
And did working here in Greece create, I don't know, did you experiment differently to get your results, or did you have challenges that you didn't encounter previously?
In the design phase, I would say we had a very, very strong design team, and it was really No, I would say no. It was really smooth, and we really had the opportunity to build a great working team together with the Greek local architect and engineer. They bring a lot of value to the project. Of course, you have to deal maybe more on the technical aspect to the procurement, with the procurement of material or with the that's for sure challenging, but that depends. In all the countries it is. It's not just because of Greece, it's because you have to deal with that. And maybe that's one of the aspects that it's more, you really need to be conscious about what material you are choosing, where you can provide it, how you can transport it. It's important. That probably is.
And in terms of concept, would you say that the hospitals that you are creating here, can we talk about innovation in terms of a concept of the function of a hospital?
Yeah, the part of the innovation is probably the one we are trying to bring in by considering the quality of the people, the experience of the people. Just of the patient, but this human-centered approach is the one that really, it's beside the architectural solution, the approach of bringing the people in the center. So design space that are for sure adapt and suitable for clinical and technical use. That's the base. That's the base. I mean, the hospital needs to work well. It needs to be efficient. But also the layer of the quality of the space. The fact that the people that are there have opportunity to have space to gather, space to talk, space to meet each other, or the staff can have space to have a rest, to go out and take a breath between their work. That's also a kind of a layer that we think it's really necessary, essential now to think about hospital. And flexibility also, flexibility of the space. From a more technical point of view, it's one of the characteristics that really...
Would this be also a value that we find across your public works?
Yeah, absolutely.
So human experience and flexibility. In your opinion, what gives a public building longevity?
This is a very
Not just the function, but I mean in terms of relevance.
Yeah, it's a very nice question, because every time we speak about project in the office, we always say this building needs to last 1,000 years. Of course, it's ironic. It never happened. I mean, maybe not, but who knows? Who knows? But for us, for RPBW, the fact that the building can be capable of lasting in the time, it means also that it's sustainable. Because the things that last, meaning that they preserve the capacity to be functional, the capacity to still be used by the person, still represent something for the people that use it. And it's maybe the quintessential of the not waste time, money, and material, building something that is durable. And it's also something that is related to our consciousness, to our responsibility, because every time you build something, you're really giving to the community, to a city, something that will shape the way the city or the people life will happen after. So it's very big responsibility.
Thank you, Raffaella.
Thanks to you. Thanks.